Welcome, everyone, to the Blue Drop Podcast, where we're joined by Thomas Scola, founder of Bluefly.
We'll be discussing the origin of the company and how this is a different kind of agency.
I'm Chad Hester, and I'm co-hosting with Rose Cameron, I am an enterprise technical consultant and solutions architect with a 25-year background in web strategy, design, user experience, and development. I've been working heavily with Drupal and this community for over 16 years.
And I joined Chad. I'm Rose Cameron, global brand strategist and cultural anthropologist with 30 years of experience working in high tech. I've launched some little known languages such as C, C++, Visual Basic, Linux, Rational Rose, Java, and Azure. Friend and confidant to the developer community. Joining us on today's episode is a friend of mine for the past, what is it, Tom? 20 years, something like that, over 20 years.
30 these days.
Oh my gosh. We're getting old. Anyhow, Tom Scola, or as he likes to call himself, Thomas, is the founder and CEO of the Bluefly Collective. The organization, if you're looking for it, is bluefly.io, and that's where he can be found, as well as on Drupal stack as user Flux423. Recent activities and accomplishments of Thomas, other than actually getting his daughter off to university. Congratulations, Thomas.
My youngest daughter.
Your youngest, exactly. Is the Drupal user group co-manager since 2007, board of Drupal for Gov, SME for GitLab Agentic platform, and just sent, as we said, the youngest daughter to college on a snowboarding scholarship, Thomas.
Yeah, no, I'm blessed. And then my oldest daughter, Olivia, actually works for Acquia and has been doing Drupal since she was in 6th, 7th grade.
So it's a family affair.
Yeah, you got it.
Family business.
Yeah, one love.
Well, excellent. Thanks for joining us, Thomas. I think starting off our podcast, getting really to know Bluefly, we've already talked in our last episode with a number of different folks from Bluefly. But since, you started Bluefly, we really wanted to talk to you and get to understand it a little bit from your perspective. So where did you get the idea for Bluefly Collective? And was there some sort of trigger for you?
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, over the past couple of years, Acquia has been reducing their workforce, and I saw many friends getting let go, and sooner or later, I happened to be one of them. And the way they did it was, it made me think about all the people that it had happened, and working with the people I love to work with, and thought about, Drupal as a community, and how that community needed to get tighter, and I was positioned perfectly to be able to just try to help people out with some kind of landing, and I feel like Bluefly found me. I didn't find it.
Why do you think right now, Thomas, is the right time for a collective like Bluefly? What's happening in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, with the economy, most people think it's probably the worst time ever to start a business, but thinking about the economy and the people and how, companies back in the day when IBM was first starting, they gave you more than a job. They gave you a culture, a retirement, and a sense of purpose, because you actually believed in what you were building. And I felt like over the past, many years, 50 years, that idea has really got watered down, and employers weren't giving us what we needed. And I felt like there needed to be a different solution. So the idea came to me of, fractal work, which was similar to freelancing, but the idea of a collaborative impact. If we all freelanced, we could do well, but if we did it together, we could possibly start to grow big enough and where we could start to be competing against some of the whole, what we know in our industry as makers and takers. Like, I really believe in that. And my goal of starting Bluefly was to get the money down to the makers. And starting a collective like this without employees but contractors, and a sense of just community, and I think has gone a long way.
So, I love maker spaces, and I think that us as people who make websites kind of have that spirit. A lot of people in our community actually do a lot of creative work in various atmospheres. But in terms of Bluefly, how did you assemble the organization? Like, what did you actually start with once you had this idea? Like, then what?
Yeah, like I said, it found me. It was a late night, I call it a rant session on a Google Doc, where I was just kind of getting out my frustrations and ideas about how the economy was, how I just got laid off, and kind of slowly it started to come to me, the idea of forming a collective instead of a company, because I wanted to get rid of the hierarchy and I wanted to flatten and try to give more empowerment to the makers. And so I started to write, I guess, a manifesto, called the Collaborative Impact Model. And it was a model that I had started a few years ago, but really that pushed me to help refine it. And from that model, I decided to, use Bluefly as a proof of concept. And even the name Bluefly, it was, blue for Drupal and for fly fishing, because it's one of my other passions. And it was just, again, it just came to me, and it seemed to come together. And then how it got started was really Drupal.org and Acquia alum Slack rooms. I just pretty much, sent the doc to 4 or 5 people, and within a couple of days, it was 17, then it was 30, and before I knew it, what are we at, 75? I mean, so it's organic, momentum, and yeah, just real it's been magical. That's all I can say.
So, Thomas, take us on a bit of a journey, because I know that when you started, you had a very clear objectives in your mind about what you wanted to do and how you wanted to help people.
Yeah.
Take me on the evolution of your thinking as we're from that point to where we are now.
Yeah, I know. So the idea was that when we could start Bluefly, people had got laid off, like I had got laid off. There was a place to land, a place for people to join and be able to get involved with other people that are talented just like them, that were open to freelance, open to working together, and to help grow and be supportive as a community. With seeing everyone from Acquia getting laid off, it just seemed like it was the right position to pull it together. I also had a thought of that, if 35 Acquians came together, we could become an Acquia partner, and then we could work with them and support them, and I thought it'd be beneficial. But we didn't get the support I thought we were going to get in the first year that we were around. At the same point, the federal economy changed. We actually won USAID, almost a $750,000 bid, and then never actually got to sign because 2 or 3 different federals. So we've had some economic and some other kind of ups and downs, but all in all, the community of Drupal has been incredibly supportive. I mean, I felt like at DrupalCon Atlanta, we really were shining. Like we had a lot of people come by the booths of being supportive, and we've done well since. At GovCon, we were the coffee sponsor, and it was nice to walk around seeing the little Bluefly cups on everyone's all the vendors' booths, and people were very, again, just supportive of the idea and what we're trying to do here, trying to get that money down to the makers.
So, I think with any new business, any new organization, you have your core values, you have your kind of beginning start process where you have a vision, but then as things play out, not everything necessarily happens the way that you expect it to, for better or worse. So what surprised you as you got started with Bluefly?
Well, I mean, I was surprised by the amount of momentum that had come our way and the support from not just the Drupal community, but the clients that I had worked with and all the collective members had worked with. The willingness to put trust in us and want us to work with them, the authenticity of the people that I was working with. Those were all things that I didn't expect. I guess from the not so positive side, things I didn't expect was I, um, I thought that we'd have a lot more support from the partner network and from like Acquia and Pantheon and some of the big vendors, but we've been able to carve our little way in, and without those relationships, and that's fine. I'm supportive of them, and we're hosting agnostic, so we'll work with anybody.
What about your current focus? Because, you and I have talked a lot about, do we talk specifically Drupal? Do we talk open source? I mean, where are your business strategies focused right now?
Yeah, I mean, as we all came out of a certain industry like Drupal, obviously the first kind of business mission was to use that talent that we had to be able to work on Drupal work. As we've grown, we've diversified with people like you, Rose, who have 40 years of experience launching some of the most well-known brands, and Nick Willett, who's an incredible designer, and even like Chad, who's been leading some of our like strategy. So as it grew, the idea grew, and we started to move more into open source, more into even deployments. We have a couple Kubernetes experts. We started building products, and I particularly started diving real deep into the Drupal AI stuff and AI. And so we've become really an all-service shop that now is starting to offer more than just being the dev shop or the tech shop. Our strategy actually has grown, our capabilities has grown, and since our client base has grown, we're starting to feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more organized, and ready to take on those bigger opportunities as they come.
So I think that's a good segue into a real good question. If somebody's considering a vendor to help them with their web services, web presence, that sort of thing. There are a lot of choices. The landscape is full of very talented people and organizations of many different sizes and costs. So what makes Bluefly Collective stand out among other service providers?
Yeah, I think there's really three areas that we really stand out. The one is that we're mission driven. We're trying to get money down to the makers. So we're really authentic on that, and we follow by true like open source values, because I feel like this collective is we're building an open source company in a way. I think another way is the talent. 35, 40 of us coming out of Acquia. I think we have 7 XDA board members. Some of the top Drupalists out there. So I think we our tight network. A lot of us have worked together, even like for 10 years plus. I mean, I personally have been in Drupal since 03, like 2003. So like this people I've known for 20 plus years. So I think the tightness of the group, and I think the flexibility and willingness that we're not as rigid as other agencies, where we have 70 talented members with all different kinds of talents. We're not going to put Chad on a project because Chad's billable and we have to get him billable. We're servicing and staffing every single project exactly with the right talent. And then we don't do much staff augmentation, but we love doing this thing called collaborative delivery, where we have a team of 3 or 4 people that go in to another agency, another a company, and they're able to be, strategic, hands-on, and carve out pieces and really, in the process, help the customer or the partner educate themselves. And then we have a certain focus around ROI. So everything we're doing is all about business impact, ROI, how do we track it, and really understanding the impact of the technology. And technology is just a tool, and we recognize that. Like what we are is connecting people.
So speaking of the people, for the people, why should a person consider the collective? What benefits does it bring to them? We've had the perspective from collective members, but I'd love to know you specifically, Tom. What do you think the benefits are?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely start off with the first thing being collaborative impact, working together, community, having other people that are in the same mindset, in the same space, that are constantly posting different, messages to the boards, and educating, holding group sessions, teaching, weekly AI groups, and being able to all work together to further not just each other, but the greater good of the public good of Drupal. I think there's I kind of relate it back to almost how like hockey teams are, where it's like they're a team, and it's about the greater good, the greater team, than it is a single player. And that's exactly how Bluefly is. It's not a single, no, everyone's looking out for the greater good, not themselves. And I think that's a really different perspective on how businesses are run, in the flat hierarchy too, because we're, again, trying to get the money down to the makers. We're not going to put a bunch of senior leadership on projects that aren't actually physically doing stuff, so we want to keep the cost down. We want to put the right staff on, and we really want to get as many of our makers paid as possible.
I have to ask you, is there anything from your background? I'm hearing a lot of collaboration. I'm hearing a lot of getting it to the level of the people who.
Yeah.
Well, there's something from your background that drives them.
Oh, well, I mean, I had kids at 22. I'm a dad through and through, and I'm an educator, enabler. I love being able to help someone go from not knowing something to actually getting paid to be able to do it, and give someone like a life that they didn't have. I actually thought that I'd be a professor in my later years, because I do have a real passion for educating people and just helping
And
people.
I guess kind of a next natural question that some folks here might have is, now that we're getting familiar with you and Bluefly and how it was created, what's next? What should we expect to see from Bluefly in, say, the next year, especially if we're going to run into you at conferences or want to work with you or work for you? Like, what should people really expect to see from Bluefly?
Yeah. Well, we got a bunch of different products in the works that I'm actually really excited about. A couple different big partnerships that we're working on. And sooner or later, you might even see a cloud.bluefly.io come out, that really shocks the industry. We're excited. No, we have some good things coming, some real good things coming with AI, some capabilities that we think are really kind of unseen right now in the market. And I feel like we're really kind of pushing the edge of business impact, ROI tracking, and being able to really manage some of this digital AI, all the newness that companies are just starting to adopt.
Yeah, for sure. I know that digital transformation is a buzzword, but it is an important word to summarize how technology serves organizations effectively, and the people that those organizations serve in turn, to make sure that there's a good connection. And if you sit on your technology for too long, it stops being so effective. Markets change, needs change. The technology just doesn't keep up sometimes. So it's good to hear that Bluefly can help provide that transformation.
The market's going real fast, and you hear all those like kind of buzzwords like digital transformation or shift left. And I mean, they all kind of come from the same, backing, which is like, secure DevSecOps, being able to actually like, track everything, having good control of ROI, and then understanding efficiencies,
I think we've got a number of topics that we already have queued up for some future podcast episodes. So we're just saying for our audience here, we're going to see you some more when we can get your time. Rose, did you have any other thoughts?
No, I just, my thought is thanks, Tom. I mean, this is something that is very special. And, I know that from discussions I've had with the community, and I say, why did you join Bluefly? A lot of them say, well, I knew Thomas Scola and I trusted Thomas Scola and I'd worked with Tom and I enjoyed working with him and I wanted to continue working with him. And I think that from all of the people we've met in this collective, Chad, these are good people.
Yeah.
They're really, and when we talk about people that can get on a job together and immediately start working, and not have egos flying left, right, and center, who, it's like, okay, this is a gnarly problem and we want to deal with this gnarly problem. And, let's pick from these guys and who's investigating these different modules and different things to do, and that they all somehow come together. They're very, very special people. So I just wanted to say thank you, Thomas, for caring when the kind of floor was pulled out from underneath so many of these people. And, and then actually trying to move forward and do something differently. I know it hasn't been easy, but, when you're looking at projects that are really interesting to you moving forward, what would you distinguish the types of projects that you think that Bluefly and the collective would excel at?
I mean, well, first of all, thank you, Rose. Like, I mean, you've been a 30-year or 25-year mentor of mine and like and a friend. So you're gonna make me cry. But like for me, Bluefly, clients, the work we do, it's about people. It's about relationships, and it's about you work with people you know, like, and trust. And so my perfect customers are people that we can grow relationships with, grow trust with, grow together. I feel like we have no lack of talent. We have no lack of experience. Yes, we're a young company, but we've been together and we've known each other for so long, and it's really give us that foot in the door. And just like the clients that we're working with right now, who every customer we've worked with, we're still working with, because I think we've really grown a special group of people, and we have a really refined process from all the experience from all the different companies we've worked with and all the people bringing in. And again, open source. The whole company's open source, so all ideas come from anybody, and go through the open source process of being part of it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on our second podcast episode so far. And I certainly look forward to seeing you again in some future episodes to talk about some of these specific ideas and projects that are being worked on. And of course, thank everybody for listening to our podcast episode. We enjoyed having you with us.
Absolutely. And if anyone out there would like to learn more about Bluefly and our team, please visit our website at bluefly.io. That's bluefly.io. Thanks very much, everybody.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Rose.
Take care.
Mhm.